Welcome back to the All Ball Podcast, where it's all ball all the time. You are here with your hosts, Sean and Isaiah. As always, this is episode number 36, and today we're going to be giving out grades to teams that didn't make the playoffs or play in, and then we're going to give our play-in predictions. But before all that, as always, Isaiah, how you feeling today, man?
You know, I'm feeling good. I'm still riding on that wave of Lakers being out of the playoffs. It's such a great feeling.
Yeah, it was great to see. I know we sound like the biggest Laker haters in the world, and we might just be, but it was just great to see. So what team do you want to start off with?
I feel like we should start from the bottom of both conferences and just work our way up. So we can start with our Rockets and then move to the Magic and just bounce back and forth like that.
All right, sounds good. So to start with the Rockets, I guess let's go ahead and give our grades first and then give an explanation on our grades. So
Okay.
What would be your grade for the Rockets?
My grade would be a B.
Okay. I'm going to have to give a B plus.
Okay.
And why would you give B?
So my B is we developed Jalen Green, which is something we needed.
Mm-hmm.
KPJ seems to be on a hot streak to end the season. That's nice. And really just we got another low seeding so we could get another high draft pick. And that's why I say we got a B. Well, that's the positive reasons why we got a B. Now, definitely docked some points for the terrible way that the season started in terms of how Jalen Green was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Porter Jr.'s up and down roller coaster of a season. Christian Wood having a tough season. Silas still trying to get the hang of rotations properly and all of that. And also that whole fiasco we had with KPJ and Christian Wood leaving the arena. That was another reason I had to dock us down to a B.
I completely forgot about that whole incident, but yeah, I think you hit on a lot of good points there, especially the Steven Silas rotations thing and the Jalen Green bad start to the season. That's one of the main reasons why I took off points was because of the rotations thing. I think we could have developed our players a lot more if our rotations were kind of set in stone to begin with. And one thing I want to point out though to boost the grade to why it is a B plus is we found Şengün and Christopher.
Okay.
Those are two. Şengün could be a all-star superstar, and Christopher could be a very good sixth man, maybe like an Eric Gordon type. He's good enough to start, but probably isn't going to start because Green's there playing shooting guard.
Yeah, really the way I look at it is you're right about Christopher with how he could have a sixth man role throughout his career, assuming that he is content in that role. Really, I could see us running some lineups where he does start and then they just move Green to the 3. But
yeah,
that's later down the line kind of stuff. But the point where I think you're getting a little bit overzealous there is with the Şengün being a potential superstar. I could see him being an all-star, but a superstar is kind of a crazy prediction.
Really, I think just because of his age and what he's already done at 19 years old and how mature his game already is, I think that kind of at least throws him to the point of possibly having that potential. I wouldn't say that's absolutely out of the picture to have superstar potential for Şengün, but I would think that he's more in the range of an all-star, but I think he can hit superstar potential.
Yeah, my only thing about it is when you look at the way he plays, in order to become a superstar, he'd have to turn into Nikola Jokic. That's really the only way that he becomes a superstar, because he doesn't have that athleticism, just like Jokic, where they have to compensate for their lack of athleticism and their lack of verticality with IQ. And so while I could definitely see Şengün's IQ going up more, it's still a matter of can he become the scorer that Jokic is? Because that is the thing that will make the difference.
Right. And that probably will be hindered by Jalen Green. Not to say that
And KPJ too.
right, that Jalen Green shouldn't be the leading scorer on our team.
Mm-hmm.
But if Jalen Green wasn't there, I think obviously Şengün would be taking a lot more shots, aside from KPJ and probably Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I want to point out is not KPJ, KJ Martin's 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
How well it's kind of rounded out to end the season, especially from the All-Star break. He's, I think, almost been shooting like around 35 to 40%, which is really good. And how we kind of offloaded the veterans like Augustine. Who else do we have on the team that I kind of wish we would have traded Gordon still, but
Mm-hmm.
like I said also before, I'm happy that he's here to be that veteran on the team.
Exactly. He's definitely come in handy for a lot of good wins that we got.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of note about the Rockets that kind of went into your grade?
I can't think of anything major off the top of my head. The only minor thing I can think of is that there definitely was a really fun stretch of basketball in there when we were on our streak.
Oh yeah, 7 games.
Yeah, so that was an enjoyable thing. The rave of Garrison Matthews, Gary
Oh
Bird.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we had a lot of fun points throughout the season. This team has looked really fun when they're playing well. We've looked really fun at this ending stretch of the season, and it looks like we have a very bright future.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you. Let's go ahead and move on to the Magic.
Hmm.
What is your grade for the Magic?
For the Magic, I'm probably going to slap them with a C minus.
That's the exact same grade I was going to give them. Um, just because of how, and obviously this Jalen Suggs is not the whole reason why this team has this grade,
Hmm.
but he's a good portion of it.
Hmm.
Jalen Green's not Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs, disappointment of a rookie year. Not to say that he can't be better in his sophomore year, but he's been pretty disappointing. And that Scotty Barnes pick at 4 for the Raptors just looks better and better each day as
Hmm.
the season progressed. But okay, I want to hear why you gave them a C minus.
Jalen Suggs, like you said, is a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I have to give it to just the general confusion that is this team. Cole Anthony has been such an odd player. He'll have crazy games, and then he'll come out the next game and shoot 17% from the field. It seems like even into this season, he just can't seem to get it together yet. You've had these weird trades that they've had, like acquiring Bol and
Mm-hmm.
then not doing much with him now. So I don't really get that. You have a lot of guys on this team who have constantly been injured. And so it's a really odd team. The only reason that I keep them out of that D and F range is one, because Franz Wagner has looked really good. He's definitely a top 5 rookie of the year candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, at the end of the day, losing is just fine for this team because it means that they get another high pick in this next draft.
Yeah, that's the one thing they did right was to lose.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I'm still confused about this team, there's no one person on that team who I can be like, oh, he's there, Jalen Green. Oh, he's there, Evan Mobley. Oh, he's there, Scotty Barnes or Kate Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one on that team that I see has superstar potential other than Jalen Suggs. But after this first year,
Really?
if he doesn't even like improve, I mean, a really good amount, I can't see it. I don't really see it now, but I think that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, if I'm going to be 100% honest, I don't even see superstar potential for Jalen Suggs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I see more superstar potential out of the higher end games we've gotten out of Cole Anthony than I've seen out of Jalen Suggs.
I mean, I'm only saying he has superstar potential because I feel like he can turn it around this next season. He might be able to, but what I really see him as is more of a, how could I put it? A really great starter through his career and making a couple All-Star games.
Yeah, no, that's exactly that right there is exactly why I do not see superstar potential in his future. Because
Mm-hmm.
even coming into this draft, I didn't see him more than, oh, he's a really good defender. Could be a really good defender once he gets used to the upper level league and all that. And then he could be a pretty solid offensive player. You know, he'll do some scoring, he'll do some facilitating. I don't see him being necessarily elite at either one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I never saw superstar potential in this guy. Because he just seemed like that kind of, he's going to give you really good production in each one of these things, but nothing is going to stand out of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that I want to point out with the Magic, they got to figure out what they're going to do with Jonathan Isaac once he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at every position, they're log jammed all over the place. Actually, going back to Jalen Suggs, I remember what I was going to say. When I did watch a couple of the games, I didn't watch a lot of Magic games. Obviously, they're a lower seeded team. They're going to lose. I'm not going to watch a lot of their games. But when I did watch their games, Jalen Suggs looked like he was playing way too fast. Like he was playing beyond his game. Where I think that he would have done a lot better if he would have just slowed down and actually tried to be more of a methodical point guard.
Mm-hmm. And you see, that is part of what helped Markelle Fultz sort of come into his own on the Magic. Is once he started getting the touches he needed, he slowed down. He worked in that mid-range area, got to the bucket nice and slow with crafty movement, and he didn't try and force anything. He's not this super up and down the court player like he was in college slightly. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Suggs could learn a lot from his own teammate.
Right. Okay, you ready to go ahead and move on to the Thunder?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my grade for the Thunder is also going to be a C minus. What is yours?
I was gonna give them an A because
Really?
if we look at all these picks that they have for the future, clearly winning now is not a priority for them. Even with Shea on the team, they don't care. They're like, these seasons now, they don't matter. We're building for the future. We're building for 2027.
um, yes, I agree that the picks are great, but um, I feel like other than Shea and Giddy, there's no other person, like I said, that really could be that third person on the team that they look to. And especially down the stretch, this kind of threw me off because if you're supposed to be developing these young guys and you're starting these guys that I've never even heard of, you know what I'm talking about, right? There were memes all about it the last like 2 weeks of the season. I know you know what I'm talking about. They're playing guys that I'm guessing they had just signed. They weren't playing most of their guys. There was one game where I think Isaiah Roby was the best player for them. It's just ridiculous.
You know, there's really no real excuse for that. I can't explain that. But first to address one of the things you said, I think Lou Dort could be that third guy if he keeps developing. I think he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But also another thing is just that I think them doing horrible this season is all a part of the plan. I think that was the goal from the beginning of this season. They didn't care about winning games. They don't care about this. They just want to be as bad as possible so that they can get high picks so that they can have a future like we have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with you. Their whole plan this season shouldn't have been, and it wasn't, to win games. That would have been crazy if they were to try to win games. They would have won maybe like 5 more if they actually tried. But no, I do agree with you. The picks are good. That their plan for the season was good to tank.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just said, I don't know if Lou Dort's the guy to be the third man. Maybe he is. Maybe he's like the Draymond Green for their team in the future.
I mean, he averaged 17 for them, so.
I mean, yeah, he averaged 17, but do you think that'll continue once all the other guys start to kind of come into their own?
I could definitely see him maintaining some mid-teen scoring.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged 14 last year. He averaged 17 this year. So I think it's more about upping his efficiency for him rather than keeping that same number. Because if he can increase the efficiency, then he can take less shots while the other guys get better. And he still maintains that same point production.
Okay, if he's lower to mid-teens, I'll agree with you that he can be that third guy.
Okay.
I just got to see it continue into at least one more season.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to go ahead and move on to the next team, which is the Pistons?
Mm-hmm.
All right. My team grade for them is going to be a B. What is yours?
I think I'll give them a B too. I'll give them a B.
Okay, so the reason I didn't give them any higher is because they couldn't trade Jeremy Grant.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if they would have traded Grant, that would have helped this team out a lot. They would have got maybe at least 2 first-round picks and a possible young player, or some kind of trade package around that. But the fact that they still have
Mm-hmm.
Grant is bad. But they have Cade Cunningham, and Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley are probably going to win Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, I can't argue with that.
Really, the way that I'm looking at it, I give them a little bit of a deduction from A to B, like you said, because of the Jeremy Grant situation.
Mm-hmm.
But also, a little bit of that is because of the way that Cade Cunningham started the season. He came into the season injured, and then when he did start playing, he had a really rough start. So because of that, that's why I docked them down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, this team they've done really well. Cade Cunningham has looked very promising to end the season. He's really wrapped it all together in this second half of the year. Can't forget the legendary 50-point Saddiq Bey game. That that man, myth, and legend really looks like he could be an important piece for this team's future.
Mm-hmm.
They even managed to trade for and make solid use of Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, this team definitely did well in their development, almost like how we did.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Cade, because like you said, Cade struggled. He was, like you also said, coming off that injury.
Mm-hmm.
But Saddiq Bey is a good example. He really kind of, even though he was streaky and at times very inefficient,
Mm-hmm.
he was able to show those spurts of like good scoring.
Mm-hmm. This is what I can be type of game.
Right, exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons why I also gave them a B.
Okay.
So the Trailblazers, what is your grade?
I'm going to have to give the Trailblazers a D.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that they're not a F is because they finally made the trade that I've been begging them to make for years now.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yes, they got rid of CJ McCollum.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, Dame hurt most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks. But I guess one good bright spot for this team, with everything that went bad, was Anthony Simons.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he could. I don't know how they do it if they were to start both of them together, Simons and Dame. It'd be a really small backcourt, but
Yeah. On that note, I just have to say that is the worst thing they could do.
yeah.
Because it would be the exact same situation that they
but
just saw.
but it is a very Portland Trailblazers thing of them to do.
Oh, I
Yeah.
could see them doing it. I'm just saying that it would be their worst possible choice if they did.
Yeah. Like I said, it if they could make it work, sure, go for it. But really, what I think you need behind Dame is just a real defensive anger at the shooting guard position.
Mm-hmm.
How they're going to find that within the next couple of years to keep Dame happy and do something while he's still of age to do something. I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to try to guess how they're going to do that. Like you said, though, the CJ McCollum trade was great. Finally, they did it. Other than that, though, I can't really give this team too much other than just because Dame was hurt. They got rid of CJ. Nothing else much they could do. They got rid of Robert Covington, which was good. So they got rid of that. I think they didn't have to pay the luxury tax or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that's what they were doing.
Yeah. But other than that, they were just bad. They had a bunch of bad players. Their depth was really bad.
Yeah, and honestly, I think another problem with this team is that they just seem really confused about what they're trying to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if do they move their young guys to try and win now for Dame's sake? That's what I could probably see them doing, but that's not a good idea. Trying to have this weird let's have Dame and have a future thing, I don't see that working.
Right.
Really, the best thing I could see for them is getting rid of Dame so that they can really just lock in for the future. But I don't see them doing that because of the whole loyalty that they've established. So
right.
I really don't know what this team does moving forward.
Right. It's because Dame's not even in a position to be like the number one person on that team in 3 to 4 years.
Exactly.
So they can't really fully reset with Dame. They could barely, if any kind of reset, they can hopefully hit on a really good draft pick that'll be good in like maybe 2 years when Dame is on the last couple years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it'll be only 2 years, but when like his actual good years of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who would want to go to Portland to play with what they have, like in free agency.
If they weren't trying to come to Portland with Dame and CJ and a healthy Nurkic, you think they're going to come to Portland now?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're a joke of a team right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you want to go ahead and move on to the Pacers?
Yes.
All right. So for the Pacers, I'm gonna give them I'm in between. I'll give them what I think they really should get, a C+.
Okay, that's the exact grade I was going to give them too.
The only thing that saved them was the Halliburton trade. If they don't make that trade, they're in the D for me. They're D grade for me.
That is an interesting choice.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think that they stay in this range also because they made that trade to get Jalen Smith, who they've made decent use of since trading for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Chris Duarte was a good pickup, and Goga Bitadze has also been solid use for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're moving really slowly and awkwardly, but they're moving in the right direction nonetheless.
Yeah, I think they're moving in the right direction. They've picked a direction, which is a good thing. Because we always talked about whether they're going to actually tank, whether they're actually going to really try to go and compete, or whether they're going to stay as that mediocre team that gets eliminated in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I think they finally decided a direction, as in they were not going to fully reset and offload all their assets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brogdon, Turner. I think they should keep Brogdon. I think they can move. Warren, I don't know. I'll see what happens with him whenever he finally gets healthy. But he actually is healthy, but they didn't want to play him the last couple of games of the season. Like I said, though, the Halliburton trade is what really saved this team, because if they kept Sabonis, I would have really been upset. Or if they would have not traded for someone younger.
Yeah. Really, I think if they're going to move forward, they have to move Brogdon. I like Brogdon as a player. He's a really good, he'll give you some 3-and-D. He'll give you some playmaking. He can give you what you need as a solid starter in that point guard spot. But the problem is, going into next season, he's going to be turning 30, I believe. And that's too old for what this team is clearly trying to do. They've decided that they're going to go young. They're going to play for the future. You can't do that with an almost 30-year-old player.
Right. And if the Heat wouldn't have done the Kyle Lowry thing, I think Brogdon would have been a perfect fit for the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was just a little side thing, but I don't really have any much else to say other than with the Pacers. So, do you want to go ahead and talk about the Kings?
Yes, because boy, oh boy, that team gets an F.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that team also gets an F for me, just because y'all traded Halliburton. Makes no sense to get Sabonis and actually try to compete for a play-in when y'all know y'all weren't even going to win. Exactly. Fox still hasn't really shown me that he could be a superstar. At best, he'll probably be a low-end to mid-end all-star.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do they even have? They didn't get rid of
Harrison Barnes.
Is
the people that they did get on this team besides Sabonis, like Dante DiVincenzo, what Josh Jackson, what are they supposed to do? Jeremy Lamb? What is
this team still? This team needs a map because they need a direction.
Someone doesn't need a map. This team needs they need to get blown up. The whole franchise needs to get blown up. The players gone, the front office gone, coaches, get rid of everyone. The league needs Adam Silver needs to take an executive move, make an executive move, and just completely obliterate the Kings.
I thought you were gonna say the Kings need to get sit down and the G League Ignite need to come up. But no, I do agree with you. This team just is a absolute train wreck, and they have been for the last couple of years. Yeah, I mean, drafting Davion Mitchell still. I don't know how it's gonna work. It doesn't look like it's gonna work.
Yeah,
but
he seemed to be the really good defender that we expected him to be, but that's about it so far.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say much other to the Kings than they're just awful and they're a train wreck, and they need a compass.
Yeah, there's not much that you can say. They're a joke of a team. They really don't have much going for them going into the future.
Yeah, like I said, they need a map. They need to go watch Dora the Explorer and go find the map. All right, so the Wizards. What is your grade for the Wizards?
For the Wizards, I'll give them a D+.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give them a C- just because of how they started the season.
Mm-hmm.
They got rid of Dinwiddie, which is good. Mm-hmm. They got Porzingis, which I think, at least for right now, is good.
Mm-hmm.
They got a bunch of young talent still, and Kispert. I can't think of his Avia. Who else do they got?
They have Hachimura.
Hachimura, yep. There's
And
someone
then
else I feel like I'm
you
missing.
know what? You know they got Kyle Kuzma. That's
You know what? If this was like 2 years ago, I would have clowned them, but this is now Kuzma, so I'll say,
yeah, you know.
good for them.
Yeah, now that I remember that Kuzma's on the team and like they do have some young guys, I think I'll bump them up to a C minus.
hmm I if this team would have at least kept on track somewhat of what they were at the beginning of the season,
Mm-hmm.
I think this team would have been at least like a 9 or 8 seed. But just because of how bad they fell off is why I have to give them that C minus.
Yeah, there's really not much to say. That fall off, Bradley Beal getting injured, and
hmm
just that really weird period of time before they traded for Porzingis. It was just all around an odd year for this team.
hmm And they have some guys that can like actually turn into something, like how we saw what's his name? Who
Talk
who
about how Hachimura was cooking us to start the game.
yeah, that's what oh, one last thing for the Wizards. Wes Unseld Jr., good. I think he could actually be a really good head coach in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what team are we on now?
You
The
know who we're
Lakers.
on.
The
You
Lakers.
know who we're on.
Yes. Y'all get the biggest, fattest F of all the league.
I'm rubbing my hands. I'm rubbing my hands together,
Go,
man.
go in on them,
I've
Jose. Go
been
in on
waiting
them.
for this
Tear them apart.
one. Yeah, obviously just for the formality of it, let me just matter of fact, I'm breaking the scale. They get a straight up F minus. They get an F minus because they ruined their future to trade for Westbrook. They absolutely made horrible roster decisions throughout this entire season. And what did they do the whole year? They tried to justify it. They tried to claim, oh look, we're gonna win. We're still gonna win. It doesn't matter how old we are. It doesn't matter about the roster fit. It doesn't matter. We're gonna win. They were so confident from the start of the year for months. What
Yes, it's
happened? Westbrook was a horrible fit. Their bench was a joke. They had awful defense. Anthony Davis, as usual, could not stay healthy. And when he did play, he was shooting worse from three than Westbrook was shooting. How do you shoot worse from three than Westbrook? But everybody wanted to call Anthony Davis a stretch big. A couple of years ago, all of a sudden he's better than Giannis because he can shoot. Where the shooting at now? Where's the shooting at now? Because all I see is 19% from three. That's what I see.
he is a stretch big if you consider him stretching from one side of the bench to the other when he's he's hurt.
Yeah, he's a stretch big in the sense that all he can do is sit there and stretch out his aching limbs. He's a stretch big when you think about it's a stretch that he can stretch the floor because he definitely cannot.
um, man, I'm so glad you went in on this team. This team was an absolute train wreck the whole season. They couldn't get a single thing right. I mean, there's just so many bad things that went bad for them, and most of it was their fault. Some of it they couldn't really, control. But I would say about 90% of it was their fault. All these signings, like you said, of all these older players. I mean, I remember when they were. I can't think of his name right now, but there was a player that they signed who's an older player, and they were like Lakers Twitter was like going crazy. I mean, let me see if I can pull them up while I'm talking. But yeah, this team was bad. The rest fit nothing ever happened.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I also want to point out there is only one singular good thing about this season for the Lakers. And that is that they got the best year of his career since 2018 out of a
Melo.
37-year-old LeBron.
I thought you were saying Melo.
Oh no. They got the best year of his career since 2018 out of 37-year-old LeBron. That's what they needed to even have hope of making the play-in. Was a 37-year-old LeBron going out there and playing like he's still 27.
Okay, so I found the player. Lakers Twitter went kind of crazy over the signing of Wayne Ellington. I'll never forget that.
Wayne Ellington. Oh, he gonna shoot for us. He gonna shoot 2 shots a game and average 6 points for you. That's what he's gonna do.
Austin Reeves starting. Malik Monk ring chasing at 24 years old? Didn't even make the play-in.
Oh man.
Going back to what you told me last week, you know Malik Monk deserves to get slapped by Jordan again. I kind of feel bad for Melo because Melo did actually have for the most part a decent season.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe they were actually giving Wayne Gabriel actual like real meaningful minutes.
Yeah, and now they signed him to a guaranteed contract, I think for 2 years.
And then the biggest flop of them all,
THT. Oh boy, I knew that one was coming.
Lakers Twitter was pushing that propaganda so hard to trade Westbrook and THT to the Rockets for Aaron Gordon, John Wall.
They thought
get out of here.
They thought we were stupid. They thought that we were gonna give up John Wall, who wasn't playing, and Christian Wood for 2 point guard. Why would we want 2 point guards on our team when we already are trying to develop 3 young guards?
And neither of them could shoot.
Ridiculous.
Was there anything else you wanted to correctly say about the Lakers?
Honestly, I think that's good enough.
They've
had enough. I got my rant off. That's it.
All right. So the last team, the Knicks, I have to give them also an F.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They are very certainly an F tier team, because how do you go from the 4th seed to now you're missing the play-in? Like the Lakers, at least they sucked last year too. And now they just sucked even worse. The Knicks were a 4th seed. And now they're out here missing the play-in.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle was horrible. This man who seemed like he finally had his breakout and he was really finna be a star in the league. Now look at him. Out here embarrassing the city of New York on a nightly basis.
Yeah, you definitely hit the biggest point there, which was Julius Randle's regression. I mean, the Knicks were so promising last year. I mean, not promising, but they just looked so good that I was rooting for them. But then they just had to come in this season and just do the most Knicks thing possible. Just not do good. Yeah, Julius Randle's regression was awful. RJ Barrett showed some growth. I don't think much from last season.
It was very minimal growth.
If anything, he just showed that when he does have the ball in his hands, he's able to work a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, Derrick Rose was all right.
Yeah, but as usual, he ended up getting hurt.
Yeah.
The Kemba Walker situation.
Yeah, that's pretty bad too.
Yeah, just how do you take this guy who was already looking pretty bad on the Celtics and you make him look even worse? Man.
Evan Fournier, not good.
Oh yeah, definitely disappointed this team terribly.
Mm-hmm. Who else was not? Emmanuel Quickly, he's all right. Obi Toppin, all right.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, Quentin Grimes had to be like the biggest bright spot of the team. But yeah, other than that, that's all I have to say for them. And F for the Knicks.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and move on to our predictions for the play-in. So, as of right now, well, actually, these are I believe, the set games, except for in the East, I think.
You win. Okay, yeah, because Brooklyn and Cleveland might be able to shift, but
yeah.
Other than that, I think this is locked in.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and start in the West, and then we'll kind of figure out what's going on in the East.
Okay.
So for the West, for the 7 versus 8 seed, we have Minnesota versus the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have winning that game?
Minnesota has looked really good towards the end of the season here.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some tough matchups, so it definitely affected their record, but for the most part, they've looked good. But at the same time, Paul George coming back is a huge wild card for the Clippers because all it takes is one good Paul George game. Now, I know that's asking for a lot considering that it's a part of the season that starts with play, but you never know. He could come out, maybe go off for 30, 15 assists, since all of a sudden he knows how to play make. Maybe he goes for a triple-double even.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that. What can you do about that? There's not much.
Yeah. So my official prediction, I'm kind of split, but I'm gonna go with the Lakers. Not the Lakers. Definitely not the Lakers. The Clippers upset here. I'm gonna go Clippers upset. Paul George has a great game, and he basically just carries the Clippers. I doubt it will happen, but I'm just gonna predict it is.
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna lock in a prediction, I'll say that the Timberwolves take this one in a close game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I really don't have much to say other than I think Paul George is gonna have a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Clippers winning in a close game also. So let's go ahead and move on to the Pelicans and Spurs. Who do you have winning this?
It's a really weird situation. I think I'm going to take the Pelicans because they picked up CJ McCollum.
Mm-hmm.
So having that player with that playoff experience might be the thing that gives them the edge in the play-in.
Mm-hmm. For me, I have to go the Spurs. I think the Spurs have been looking decent over the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's really hard to bet against Pop. Especially when it's a team that it's around the same level of the Spurs. So I think the Spurs pull this one out.
Okay.
So then that would leave us with the matchup of...
Yeah, for you, your matchup would be Timberwolves Spurs.
No. Clippers Spurs.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, you said for you think that Paul George is going to have a crazy game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Clippers Spurs.
But if the Clippers win their matchup, then they're just locked in as the 7th seed.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I forgot how this thing works. I always forget how this thing works.
Yeah, your matchup is going to be Timberwolves Spurs.
Timberwolves Spurs.
And mine is going to be Clippers Pelicans.
Yes. So for me, Timberwolves Spurs, I have the Timberwolves winning. I think that's almost a no-brainer there.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be able to hold Cat or Ant. D'Lo's been okay. He might have a good game. He might not. But just Cat and Ant himself, they should be able to win that game.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely the way that game would go. So not much to say about that. Moving on to Clippers Pelicans potential play-in. I see the Clippers taking that one. because I don't see Paul George having two terrible games in a row like that,
Hmm.
especially when this much is on the line. I know that might sound crazy considering his playoff history, but I want to believe in Paul George.
Would you say that a part of his legacy is on the line if they can't get out of the play-in?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that because at the end of the day, his playoff run last year was really impressive.
Hmm.
So I think that saved his legacy a little bit. And then at the end of the day, he's only played what 7 games, 8, something low like that towards this second half of this season when he came back.
Hmm.
So you could just chalk it up to maybe he wasn't really in his full rhythm or something. Who knows?
Right. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the East. This is a little more tricky,
Yeah.
but as of right now, recording on Sunday, the Brooklyn Nets and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who do you have winning that matchup?
Really, it's no brainer to me. I don't know if Jared Allen's going to be back for them for the play in game,
Hmm.
but really, based on the rosters as they are now, it's no brainer. Brooklyn Nets are going to mop the Cavaliers. It's really
Hmm.
not close because what are the Cavs going to do about KD and Kyrie? Especially now that Kyrie is cleared to actually just play in every game.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a no brainer here.
Yeah, I'm also picking the Nets. I would not see a world where I'd bet against KD in an elimination game like this. Elimination. Yeah, there we go. In an elimination game like this. Um, and then Kyrie's been doing a lot better as of recently.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I got Brooklyn. And then for the uh Charlotte Hornets and Atlanta Hawks, who do you have?
This one's a tough one because I definitely think that this Hawks seeding is very deceptive. They were out of the playoffs at one point and climbed their way up here,
Hmm.
whereas the Hornets, they were up high, they dropped all the way down here and have just kind of hanged out in this low area since. And but on top of that, the Hornets are actually on a bit of a win streak right now. They've won their past 2 games. So could that momentum carry them to a win over the Hawks? I don't know, but I think my safe bet is pick the Hawks.
I'm actually gonna go Charlotte here. I think the Melo should have a really great game,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they have to have Trey Young guarding him. I mean,
Oh.
they're probably if they have Trey Young guarding him, that's the worst thing they could do. They should what do you call it? They should have someone else switch on to him. But just in the case that they actually do have Trey Young guarding him, LaMelo should drop like 40.
Oh, I think it's really a lose situation no matter who they put Trey Young on, because if you put him on LaMelo, LaMelo's what, 5 inches taller than him? 4, something
I think
along those lines.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines. So that height advantage is easy shoot over him, easy take it to the rack, get a nice layup over him. There's really nothing he can do. But let's say they switch a bigger player onto LaMelo. At that point, they're putting Trae Young on Terry Rozier, which in all honesty is probably worse.
Um, I mean, I don't know. I think honestly, regardless of who guards LaMelo, I think he'll have a good game. I think the Hornets should make up for last year's disappointing playing
Mm-hmm.
playing
Oh
game
yeah, because didn't they get blown out?
by the Pacers. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I remember that was bad.
yeah, it was really bad. Yeah, so I got Charlotte here. So now for I guess the next game would be
Yeah.
for me. It would be Cleveland versus Charlotte.
And then for
I got to
you,
go.
Cleveland, Atlanta.
Yeah, I got to go Cleveland. especially versus Charlotte's defense. I think Garland should just be able to take over versus their defense.
Mhm.
Other than that reason, I really have no other reason why I think Cleveland would win. Just that Garland should be able to go off.
Really? I'm picking Cleveland to lose no matter which team they end up going against.
Ooh, okay.
Because they're on a really bad skid right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without Jared Allen to really bolster their rim protection, there's not much that they could do defensively either. So it would just be a battle of offense.
Is Evan Mobley back?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't heard any news that he was back or not. So
yeah, he came back. Yeah, he came back sometime recently. It wasn't a long time ago.
Okay. So if Jared Allen's out, who are they starting at the? Is it Markkanen? So
Man,
Garland.
I think it might be Kevin Love.
Garland, Okoro, then like Markkanen at the 3, Kevin Love at the 4, and then.
Or actually,
Mobley
okay.
5?
Now that I'm looking at it, Mobley is the 5, and actually they have Markkanen at the 4. Kevin Love's coming off the bench.
Okay, well then who's playing the 3?
They got Caris LeVert back.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Caris LeVert was even on that team. I forgot about that. Okay, well, I mean, I still don't think Caris LeVert's all that great. But still.
No. Yeah, Caris LeVert is not a game changer unless he has one of his classic Caris LeVert games where he just randomly goes off for 40 or 50 for no reason.
He's one of those guys that has the quiet 40 or 50.
Oh, it's definitely not quiet. It's just very out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference between a guy who has a quiet 50 because he didn't really do it in an exciting manner. There wasn't too much crazy about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Caris LeVert, where his 50, it's quiet in air quotes because nobody's talking about it. Because who expects Caris LeVert to go off for 50?
Well, definitely not me, but I see that more in Garland. All right, well, I think that's it. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we go ahead and, I guess, wrap things up?
No, that's it for me.
All right, well, that's going to be the end of this episode. If you like the episode, go ahead and like and subscribe. In the comments, go ahead and drop down y'all's playoff predictions or grades for y'all's teams also. And, Isaiah, any last words?
Just share the podcast with as many people as you can to help us out.
I should have said any last comments because any last word sounds pretty bad. So I will try not to make that mistake next week. Yeah, but all right, we will see you on the next episode.